When you look at cash flow over net worth, what you're really looking for is available cash that you can invest. And remember, how do you win the financial game? No one ever tells you this. And if you don't know how to win the financial game, then you're basically playing a game you don't know. And if you wonder why maybe you're a little confused or a little unsure, even though your financial planner talks to you, it's because no one's really giving you an end game of how to win. So how you simply win this game. And here's the winning formula. It's super simple. Hi, this is JP Newman of Fulfillionaire, and today's episode is going to be a critical one to really up level. If you can get this, your life will be up leveled, not only financially, but also on the joy level. I'm really amazed with so many people that I talk to that, as you know, the metric of net worth has a place in your financial world. But I think when looking at your actual health and your actual plan, I find, and I've talked about this before in past episodes, the problem with net worth is that net worth, while it's an important factor as far as telling you your total assets minus your liabilities, it gives you some sense of maybe where you are. It's not particularly great at helping you with a financial strategy of understanding the kind of investments that you have, your liquidity, or really how to work your investments in a way that are going to create clarity and safety for you. And that's really the key issue here. So what I would say to you and what we've talked about is when you look at cash flow over net worth, what you're really looking for is available cash that you can invest. And remember, how do you win the financial game? No one ever tells you this. And if you don't know how to win the financial game, then you're basically playing a game you don't know. And if you wonder why maybe you're a little confused or a little unsure, even though your financial planner talks to you, it's because no one's really giving you an end game of how to win. So how you simply win this game, for most people, is you know how much you're burning. When I say burning, you're burning. How much do you spend per month or per year? And we're going to talk about that later. I'm going to help you with this if you don't know that number. And how much income is coming in. And for those of you earlier in your lives, a lot of times that's when I say how much money is coming in. How much money is coming in from your active income, which is the money from your job, your product or service, and how much is coming in from your investments. And here's the winning formula. It's super simple. When your active income and passive income are higher than your burn rate, you've now won step one. You've won. You've won the financial game. Ta-da! Relax your shoulders, high five your friends, celebrate, you're good. There's a lot more to it, but we're going to get you to it. The bonus round as you get older with this is you really want to get to the point that if you can save enough because your active income in your job is now giving you enough money to create some savings and some investments, well, now you're relying less on your job. And slowly over time, you're relying more on your passive income, which is basically the money coming in from your investments, the money while you sleep, the money from your real estate investments, your oil investments, your stock dividends, your art collection, oil and gas, on and on and on. I can kind of take you through each asset class. But literally, it's your mailbox money, the money that's coming that takes none of your effort. Your liberation comes when you can get to the point where it's all coming from your passive income. And that is like the double win bonus, celebrate, blow the horns, you've won. And the problem for a lot of people, and it amazes me because I coach a lot of people who have a tremendous amount of net worth. And the problem is they don't find that safety because they're really not clear on the winning formula. They're so focused on a number of that net worth that they haven't actually analyzed their cash flow. And here's what I found. A lot of times when I talk to people, they go right to their either where they're at in their business or where they're at in their net worth or some shame that they're having from a recent loss, some defeat in their business, some investment that got lost. And I just don't find that really helpful because if you really want to play the game and win, which means you're making the most amount of money you can make with the most amount of fun you're doing at the same time, all this is that distractive energy that actually keeps you from where you need to be. So where you really need to be is simply in those numbers. And what amazes me, I'm going to tell you a funny story again and again just this week. I had a phone call this week from somebody who has literally spent the first 20 minutes telling me how hard things were for him, both financially. He was kind of going through austerity. He was leaving a state. He was downsizing. He was living as austere as possible. like really cutting, like watching his food budget and all these things. And we talked about this for about 20 minutes. And the thing that I thought was interesting, I finally said to him, so tell me more about your liquidity. Tell me more about like your financial picture. And as he was going through his financial picture, it turns out that he has more than enough liquidity. He's mostly sitting pretty conservatively, but he has more than enough liquidity not only to cover his burn rate of his life, but honestly, probably double the burn rate of his life. So here he is downsizing, living as careful as possible, and not using his cash properly. A lot of it's in the bank at 2 or 3%. So he's not feeling wealthy because that liquidity that he has is not being well used. It's there. But can you imagine having this asset that could free you from that stress and that fear? And I know, listen, I get it. I'm sure you've had this too. Can I afford the car? Or can I afford the shirt? Or, oh my God, food's really gone up in price. We all have those pressures of abundance and scarcity. It's kind of built into us. Our goal is to have a spiritual and a practice through the Fulfillionaire framework where you get beyond that. You regulate your nervous system, you relax. But that takes both a mindset and certainly it takes a plan. And what was simply missing from his plan was a plan to better utilize the money, number one, to get a higher rate. And I give him some basic things he can do to create to create a higher rate. But here's a really easy one that I really have you think about as well. It's simply a mindset of understanding that you've already won. I feel like sometimes, like for all of us, because society is not telling us and our financial literacy courses aren't teaching us how to win the game where you have enough. And so if you really just realize that that passive income exceeding your burn rate for the life that you want, you've won, there's nothing else you need to chase. Relax your shoulders, relax your nervous system. Thank the universe with much gratitude that you got to that place. Yeah, and if you want more, guess what you get to do? Create more, because now you're becoming a manifester. And especially if you are in the laws of being a fulfillionaire, which means you're giving and receiving currency with ease and grace, when you get there, watch what happens. Gratitude, a plan, and then again, 3 months later, you say, hey, that was really cool. I can afford this, this, and this. I even can tell you from my own experiences, when I run these exercises in my workshops, and I look at my picture, a lot of times, because the picture is always changing how much money you have and how much you're spending. But what the super fun thing is sometimes is when you see that you're safe and that your numbers actually make sense, you get to invite new things into your life. And you invite them in from a different place. It doesn't feel like another burden. It feels like a gift. Like for me, for instance, I've really wanted a personal trainer for years. But for some reason in my mind, it's so silly. I just didn't think about whether I could afford that luxury, or maybe it's just too much of a luxury. And I never put pen to paper to look at the numbers that A, can afford it, and B, like you put the number down, it's really easy and it's super fun. So what are the things in your life that perhaps you've hit these numbers, if you actually took your numbers and you looked at your liquidity and you looked at your passive income and you realize that you won, what are the things in your life that you'd like to add? I found preparing food. I'm really into traveling, not only with my wife, but now I want to travel and find new furniture pieces for the house. And the thing about it, which is really cool, is it's not coming from a place of need. I don't need furniture. I don't need a personal trainer. It's coming from a place of almost like I would describe it to you, you're a manifester. You've become a manifester. You understand the rules of money. You understand currency. And now you're just playing. When you come from gratitude with your clear plan and you say, if I can do this, and if I can make this amount of money, and that amount of money can give me the kind of trips I want to take with my family, or that date night that I want to have with my wife without having to worry about it, or a personal trainer once a week because I want to stay healthy, because being healthy is like, without health, you don't even have prosperity. So you literally start taking your wins, celebrate your wins with gratitude, with joy. And the more you tell your nervous system that you're worthy of this, you're enough, you're worthy of it, and you can afford it, and here's why, here's the proof, through your liquidity and your cash flow, watch what happens. In fact, I'm going to say this to you. Do a little challenge with yourself and start small. Because I know if you pick something too big, it might seem overwhelming. Forget about cars. Pick something that maybe just take a few minutes, and if you want to, we can help you with this. You can put a little request in the comments down below, and maybe we can help you think of some ideas. Pick maybe one thing if you could, you would just do it, but you kind of been putting it off. And why don't you do it? And take this format that I told you. Make sure you burn it. Make sure you got the numbers to do it. And approach it from that place of gratitude and clarity and safety. And notice the feeling and the joy. Because the more you can experience that safety and that joy and that feeling, it gets addicting. It's almost like working out. You go to the gym. Like, when you've had a good day at the gym, you kind of look at your body, you're like, wow, that work is really paying off. And you kind of see it in your arms, see it in your chest. This is actually the same thing. I mean, it sounds strange. It's the same thing. The more you practice your small wins, practice your reps, and watch what happens. It's going to be amazing. And I'm really happy for you. To get you started on this, we also have, if you look at the show notes below, we have a link to a burn rate calculator. So if step one is, JP, this all sounds great, but I have no idea where to start with a burn rate calculator, meaning that if you don't know what you're spending per year, let's get that first step done. It's critical that everybody knows what they spend per year. Click on the link below. You're going to get a burn rate calculator, and we're going to walk you through how you get to that first number. It's the first of about 8 or 9 numbers you need, but it's critical because you can't get to the other numbers until you know your burn rate. And I'm just going to share one more story with you as we kind of close this out. I have a dear friend of mine, very, very successful Fortune 500 corporate executive, making an incredibly good salary for years and years and years. And he told me, he's like, JP, by the way, living a very abundant life already, like very, very nice things. But he said, JP, I really think I'm done, but I really just want to do charity for the rest of my life. My heart's really in charity, but I don't know how to stop. I don't know what year is the right year to like where I could quit, because that money that comes in from my salary makes me feel safe. And it makes me feel like important and safe and recognized. But my heart says, I don't want to do another day of this, like the corporate politics and everything else that was going on. And we had about 5 conversations over 6 months because I could tell this was torturing him. And my heart really went out for him. I mean, great resume, impressive person. And you just knew his life journey had changed years ago, and he was fighting with it. And so I said to him, I gave him the same exercise I'm giving you today. I said, let's start with some basics here. Are you willing to share? And as soon as he started to share actually what was going on for me, he painted his financial picture. His salary was so large. But the funny thing was, here's the funny thing is, his active income was covering his life. His passive income from his investments was covering his life. So he was just feeling safe. Can you imagine this? He didn't know when to stop, is basically what it came down to. He created so much success for himself, but never had a marker of when to stop. So he was going to continue working, even though he knew that it wasn't in his best interest anymore. But when we put the numbers out for him, and he could clearly see the case that he has enough, he's won, and he has enough money for the rest of his life by just investing wisely with a framework, it was a total game changer on his mindset. And I'm so grateful that he had the trust in the Fulfillionaire framework and us to help him see what he needed to see. And here was the thing. He had great financial planners around him. All the big guys were around him. But the problem is, in what I call the current financial planners, it's one-dimensional wealth. They keep repeating the same things of like what you can do to save that money one day when you get older, which again, that's great, but that's a lot of scarcity. And even with Die with Zero, we can talk about a separate episode. I totally get the thought behind Die with Zero. And I think there's times to die with zero, but sometimes you should die with a lot of money too, and pass it on for legacy and what have you. And the reason why I say that is, whatever it takes, whether you want to die with zero or die with a fortune, what's more important than either one of those is living every day now, not dying. But once you live every day now with that safety, clarity, and abundance. So simply what we say in the Fulfillionaire framework is, we're going to help you, if you don't already know, how to invest the money, how to save the money, how to do the tactics to actually create great wealth for yourself. Most financial planners stop at that how to do these things. The other 2 questions that are critical for your happiness and your clarity is what you're doing. So in other words, not just how do you do it, but what are you doing to create that joy, that fulfillment within the framework. So the what that's going to bring you to fulfillment is key. And then ultimately, why are you doing it? So it's, how do you do the tactics? How is the tactics? What are the things that you're actually doing? What are you striving for? The personal trainer, the cook, the shirt, the date night. That's the what. The things the things that are the not negotiable why that makes you cry in our framework. And then of course the why is what is the meaning behind it all? When it's all said and done, what is the meaning? And I promise you, if this is the one thing you hear, when you bring those three things together and they're actually working for you within the Fulfillionaire framework, it's a game changer. And I really wish that for you. I've been able to create that for me and so many people. And remember, it's not the dollar amount as a Fulfillionaire. It's the mindset and the framework. So it's not chasing, you're not chasing a number, you're finding the feeling. And with that, I wish you so much success. And if you like this episode, subscribe down below. Hit the button and subscribe, like us. Let's spread the word. It's been so beautiful. The community's been growing organically, and we've been getting so much positive feedback, how we're transforming people's lives. And I'd love if you'd spread the word on this. I want to get this out to as many people as possible. We have a big mission here. Not only is that you get educated and empowered, but we create a whole new generation of givers living in safety and joy. And I wish that for you. Thank you.